Good morning, everybody. We're going to start the meeting now. We'll just begin with a couple housekeeping matters. This meeting of the Committee of Adjustment is being called to hear applications under the Planning Act for minor variances and/or consents. This is a statutory public meeting. Anyone having an interest in any of these applications may make oral or written submissions for the committee's consideration, and I assure you we've received and reviewed many of your written submissions already. The committee will render a verbal decision this date, and the agent or its applicant will receive a copy of this committee's decision in writing via email within 10 days after this meeting. Each application will proceed under the same procedure. First, the planning coordinator and planning staff will introduce the application and the staff recommendation outlined in the report, which was also posted on the City of Kitchener's website prior to this meeting on Friday. I will then advise the committee of any late written submissions to be circulated prior to the meeting that we should be taking into our consideration of our decision. Then I will advise or confirm if the agent or applicant if they've reviewed the staff report or if they are in support of the staff recommendation. At that point, I will invite any parties in opposition or support to make oral submissions. I ask that anyone providing oral submissions for this committee avoid repeating comments already stated by other parties. At that point, my fellow committee members or myself may ask questions of the parties in opposition. And then finally, I will invite the agent or applicant to make any comments or further submissions to this committee. Finally, my fellow committee members and I may ask questions of staff, and of which then my committee will either pass a motion to approve, reject, or defer the application. So the first order of business is approving the previous minutes as circulated for the meeting held on August 15th, 2023. So I ask for a motion. Member Hanna. And then can I get a second for the motion? Member McCall. And so all in favor of approving the minutes as circulated? And it passes unanimously. Thank you. And finally, I ask if any of my fellow committee members have any pecuniary interests in any application that I ask them to disclose those now. And I think we're good, so thank you for that. So at this point, we'll begin with some unfinished business from a previous meeting. Can I have the agent or applicant for A 2023-080, that's 15 Delroy Ave, please come forward. And then when staff's ready, that she please introduce this application.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 15 Delroy Avenue, requesting 4 minor variances related to setback and parking and DVT. The variances are to facilitate the development of an 18-story mixed-use building with residential and commercial uses, and they are going to retain the existing 6-story multiple apartment building on the site. The variances have been looked at in light of a site plan application, which has received conditional approval. Staff have reviewed the variances in light of the 4 tests of the Planning Act, finds that it meets all 4, and is recommending approval.
Thank you very much, staff. Can the agent please state their name for the record, please, and if they've had a chance to review the application, or the staff report, I apologize.
Yes, we have, and I'm Nemo Savick from Savick Homes.
Thank you. At this point, if there's any members of the public who wish to provide comments, I ask them to come forward now, and I don't think there is. Would you like to provide any comments for the committee's consideration?
I think everything's laid out here.
Thank you. So at that point, I open the floor for any questions of my fellow members or a motion. Yeah, Member Hanna?
I think I'm convinced from reading the very detailed staff report that this item has received conditional approval from staff through its site plan application, and I'm of the opinion that the variances meet all the 4 tests, so I will move to the staff recommendation.
And can I get a second? Yep. Can't hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very comprehensive report. This was deferred from July, and all of the concerns from July have been addressed, so I will second the motion.
And if there's any debate, I'm happy with it. Nope. So all in favor of the motion?
Through you, the Chair, I just want to confirm, do we have a date that we're deferring the application to?
I think we're voting to approve, isn't it?
We are moving to approve the staff recommendation based on staff's recommendation.
Okay. Does staff want to provide comment? I think we're approving the application. That's what the motion's on the floor is, to approve the minor variance.
Yes, it was deferred from the July meeting, and so coming back today for your approval.
Thanks for checking, Madam Chair. So all in favor of approving as recommended by staff? And Member McCall? Oops, sorry. So it passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So then, Madam Clerk, just to be clear, the staff recommendation to approve per the, yeah, we're good. Thanks, Madam Clerk. At this point, can I please have the agent or applicant for A 2023-100, that's 332 Prospect Ave, please come forward, and then when staff's ready, please introduce the application.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 332 Prospect Avenue. This was deferred from the last month's committee meeting. The variance is to the rear yard setback. It's at a different setback at each of the two corners of the single detached dwelling that's proposed to be constructed on the lot. Staff have reviewed the variance in light of the four tests of the Planning Act, finds that it meets all four, and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the agent or applicant state his name for the record and whether he supports the staff recommendation?
Sorry, my name?
Yeah, your name. Thank you.
Vlad Knezovich.
Thank you. And then do you support the staff report recommendation?
Yeah.
To approve?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. So at that point, I ask any members of the public who wish to come forward to provide comments. They're more than welcome, and I'm satisfied there isn't. So then I open the floor to my fellow members to ask questions of the agent or the applicant or staff. If not, yeah, Member Hannah.
I've just one question for the applicant and then one question for staff. Have you made any headway in whether you want a single-car garage or a double-car garage?
Just single.
Just single?
Yeah, it's just going to be single-car garage.
All right. And a question for staff. This is a kind of an unusually worded recommendation where you have two setbacks listed in the resolution. I'm going to suggest a minor wording amendment just to, I know what you're trying to accomplish here. You're trying to make sure that it's consistent with what's being shown. But I would like to word 4.6 meters from the northwest corner of the proposed building and 6.9 meters from the northeast corner of the proposed building to kind of set it in stone. And I hope the applicant's okay with that.
Sorry, is that the, because I sent over plans for them to review. Are those the numbers on the plans?
Yes.
Okay.
No objection?
As long as it's on the plans, I'm okay with it. I don't have them in front of me.
All right. Can I get some response from staff?
Yes, staff is fine with the amendment. It is related to the two corners referenced in the recommendation, and just providing for further clarification on the recommendation that the setback is at each of the two corners.
Yeah, Member McCall.
This is the trouble we get when we have irregular shaped lots. I've got one too. I think this is fine. It was deferred and it's all been looked after, so I move that this be approved as amended approved as amended.
Can I get a second for Member McCall's? Yep, thanks, Member Hannah. And then, Madam Clerk, were you able to get the amendment? Thank you. So I'm confused, and I guess we're in debate, so I can ask questions of you. We've now just set a minimum side yard setback? You guys lost me a little bit.
I'll explain it, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman. Normally, when you have a minimum requirement in a zoning bylaw and you're varying it, you have one setback. And this one, they've listed two. So if I were reviewing this, I would go, what am I looking for? Is it the minimum setback of 6.9 or is it a minimum setback of 4.6? I know what staff is trying to do, but I think we need more clarity, and that's why I added where they're from.
Yeah, okay. I'm happy. So I think no further debate. I appreciate it, Member Hannah. So all in favor of the motion as amended? Passes unanimously, so thank you. Can I please have the applicant for A 2023-104, that's 254 Westwood Drive, please come forward, and when staff's ready, please introduce.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 254 Westwood Drive. It's a minor variance to permit the required parking space to be located 2.6 meters from the street property line, instead of the minimum required 6 meters. And this is to facilitate the conversion of the attached garage into living space. The plan is to create a new additional dwelling unit within the single detached dwelling. Staff have reviewed the variance in light of the four tests of the Planning Act and finds that it meets all four and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the agent or applicant please state her name for the record and whether she's in support of the staff recommendation?
Hi, my name is Adrian Duma.
Thanks, Adrian. And do you support the staff recommendation?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. At this point, any members of the public wish to provide comment, I ask them please come forward. I don't think there's any, so I open the floor to my fellow committee members to ask questions of staff or the applicant. Well, I have a question of staff, and I think Member Hannah might appreciate this question. I'm confused with the driveway width. When I look at the figure B in the staff report, I can see the driveway's been taken out, but then I notice in the drawing that's submitted, they don't show the driveway going the full width, I guess, to the east of the property, if I'm looking at this properly. If you can provide some guidance of what's going on with the driveway.
When staff went on site, it appeared the driveway was undergoing some construction or reconfiguration. The driveway will need to be finished in accordance with the attachment in a site plan.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question. So, and then I look forward to a motion. If there's no other questions, we can start debate. Yeah, Member Hannah?
Yeah, I have a question. Is the owner, are you one of the owners of the property? I've read some of the neighborhood comments about issues that have been going on with, to date. Do you have any commentary on that for me?
What do you mean?
It appears that you're doing a lot of stuff potentially without permits and such. Is there any?
As an example, like I did a shed, which I didn't need anything about it. I just spoke with the City of Waterloo, and everything is within the requirements. Then I don't need anything to do about it. I came here and I asked questions if I can do a shed, which I had somebody, and they said as long it doesn't go like a limit. I don't know what's the limit. What is it?
160.
160 square feet, then I don't need any permit, and was between. Then I had complaints, but I'm trying to get into the property, and I had, like with my family, the family matters, and who is complaining a lot is the tenant upstairs, and I'm trying to evict it, and I'm waiting for the LTB. Like our life is standby because the tenant doesn't want to move out.
Okay, so my follow-up question is, does the second unit exist, or are you just trying to legalize it, or does it not exist yet?
The second unit, I'm trying, no, it doesn't exist yet. That's why I'm trying to get the permit for it.
So no, and Member Call, any questions? If not, we need to get a motion for debate. Yep, Member Hannah?
I'll put the motion on the floor just for discussion, so I'll move the staff recommendation.
Okay, can I get a second? The member for call seconds, unsurprisingly. And so I guess debate. While I appreciate the comments submitted, we're not here to be, the landlord-tenant board. We're the committee of adjustment, and as recommended by staff, I think it's good planning and it meets the 4 tests. So I think our hands are a little bit tied here.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I fully support that, too. I just wanted to acknowledge that we did have letters of concern from the residents. We've seen many garage conversions in my time on the committee. This one looks like it'll be fully functional once it's done, so I'm going to fully support as well.
Member Call, any comments? So all in favor of the motion on the floor? And it passes unanimously. Thank you.
Are we done?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day. Can I please have the agent or applicant for A 2023-105, that's 120 Rossford Crescent, please come forward, and when staff's ready, can they please introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 120 Rossford Crescent. There are 2 minor variances before the committee today, one for a lot width of 11 meters instead of the minimum required 13.1 meters, and another variance to allow dwelling units to be set back 16 meters from the lot line from an active railway right-of-way for a principal line instead of the minimum required 30 meters. Staff suggested to the applicant that they reach out to CN before submitting minor variance application to ensure that there were no concerns. They received written verbal advisement that there were none. Initial circulation of the application to CN just wanted some clarification on September the 8th, I believe, in terms of the crash wall. They said that the dwelling units were being constructed inside and therefore did not have any further concern. They did want the warning clause, though, inserted in all offers of sale or lease of the ADU, which staff are recommending. I noticed that there are comments this morning received from CN, so I'm not quite sure why the change from the initial conversations with them, but staff is continuing with the recommendation before you this morning, which is to approve the two variances, finds that it meets all four tests in the Planning Act, subject to the condition that the agreement is registered on title with the warning clause for CN.
Thank you so much, staff. Can the agent please state his, or agent or applicant please state his name for the record, and if he's in support of the staff recommendation? Can you get the, you need a little light on? There you go. Thank you.
My name is Mike Burgoyne, and I am in support of the staff recommendation.
Thanks, Mike. So at this point, if there's any members of the public who wish to provide comment, I ask them to get forward, and I don't think there are, so open the floor for any questions of staff or the applicant. If not, we'll, Member McCall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question for staff. It is with regards to the revision to the requirements from CN. We're getting more and more of these from CN and Metrolinx, et cetera, as staff really know. But this is the first time I've seen that there has been a request for a safety berm or a crash berm. So I'm a little puzzled about that, and that's just my comment at the moment. Are we going to start to see crash berms all around the entire city? And because everywhere within, every railway has people within 300 meters of it, and the whole city is within 300 meters of a railway, and if that's going to be the case, I'm going to get into the business of building crash berms.
Yeah.
So that's just a comment.
No, and I'd like to clarify, so through you, Chair, the zoning bylaw requires a 30-meter setback for dwelling units, rather than, like the 300 meters is what you're seeing with the warning clauses, but the 30 meters is what's triggering the crash wall, crash barrier. That's a requirement in the zoning bylaw that dwelling units be set back the 30 meters. If they can't, then that's where the CN triggers the crash wall installation. But staff did reach out to CN just to clarify, because that's typically not a requirement where interior renovations are happening. So we did get confirmation in an email to say that the crash wall was not required, but that the noise warning clauses would still be.
A member.
Yeah, question for the applicant. First of all, I fully love your application. I think this is one of a really great intensification project. It's well thought out. I'm prepared to move the staff recommendation, but that leads potentially to CN appealing this. Are you okay with that? Just proceeding with it?
Yes, we would still like to proceed with it.
Okay.
Well, we need a motion so we can debate it. Yep, Member McCall.
Just before we get into the motion, just a question, or actually a request to staff. If this does go to appeal by CN, can you let the committee know?
Yes, of course, I certainly will.
Okay. I'm sure hoping they don't.
I don't think that there's conflicts within the written documentation from CN, so we are proceeding on the basis of an email that was received on September the 6th.
Okay, thanks. In that case, Mr. Chair, that I move that this be approved with the warning clause.
Thanks, Member McCall. Can I get a second? Member Hanna, second. Start debate. I'm not a fan of the warning clauses. Our hands aren't tied. CN is requesting, and we don't have to. And just your thoughts on that. Yep, Member Hanna.
Yeah, I'm usually in your court on this one, but because of the proximity to the railway and the extent of the addition that's being recommended, I think it's important that we do impose the condition. I think that might be enough that CN will back off and not appeal. If we don't do anything, I just feel these folks are running the risk of an appeal, so that's why I'm supporting.
Yep, Member McCall.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I am in agreement with my colleague on this. We really don't want things to go to the approval committee. Don't want this appealed because that'll extend it for how long? 6 months?
8
12
months.
months? 8 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least. Hopefully it does not get appealed, and I am in support of this with the warning clause. I share your concern, Mr. Chair, but we're getting warning clauses on lots of things these days, and I'm just wondering where it's all going to end. Do we get a warning clause that there may be dogs in the neighborhood?
Yeah, I'm just going to add, Mr. Chairman, normally I don't impose the warning clause when the property is, 100 and 200, 300 meters away from CN, and they're asking for it. In this case, the city is, I think, doing the right thing to appease CN, and that's why I'm going to support it.
Okay, whatever. I guess we'll put it to a vote then. So all in favor of the motion on the floor? I guess passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I please have the applicant for A 2023-0106, sorry, that's 279 Sheldon Ave, and I apologize, that's application 107. When staff's ready, can they please introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 279 Sheldon Avenue North. There are a number of minor variances requested before you. They're all to facilitate the construction of a carport and a wheelchair lift in the front yard to provide greater accessibility to the existing single detached dwelling. Staff have reviewed the variances in light of the 4 tests of the Planning Act, finds that it meets all 4 and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the applicant or agent please state her name for the record and if she's in support of the staff recommendation?
Good morning. My name is Mirka Kulesh. I'm with Land Design Studio. We are architects on the project of major alteration and addition. This is in addition to the main project. This is, of course, a project that is meant to improve accessibility to an owner who's a wheelchair user. And due to very unusual shape of the lot, basically we have to encroach into front yard with the carport. The zoning bylaw, as we know, has been recently changed in Kitchener. A carport is considered to be a garage right now. That's why we basically are subject to all the garage regulations. Shall I repeat the requested variances, or it's pretty clear?
We have it in front of us, so we're
Okay.
good. So thank you for double checking, though.
Thank
If there's any people in the public who wish to provide comments, I invite them to come forward. If not, you're welcome to make further submissions to the committee in case you wanted to. But like I said, we have the variances all in front of us. We can see them.
Pardon?
We have if you wish to make further submissions, you're free to. But we have the application. in
No,
front of us.
basically, I think that the drawings and the application are pretty straightforward. We are also talking about a ramp on the side of the house. So, of course, due to existing setbacks, there will be a small deficiency in the setback of proposed ramp.
Thank you. So I open the floor to my fellow members to ask questions of staff of the applicant. And I don't think there's any. So, Member McCall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm pleased to see that people are modifying existing buildings to accommodate accessibility. As we all get older in life, we're probably going to end up in a wheelchair at some point. Hopefully we live that long. So I am in support of this application, Mr. Chair, and I will move that it be approved.
Thank you, Member McCall, and second by Member Hannon. Unless there's any debate, all in favor of the application on the floor? Or passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. Can I please have the agent or applicant for A 2023-107 come forward? That's 239 Rosebank Place. And when staff's ready, please introduce.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 239 Rosebank Place. It is another minor variance to locate the required parking space 4.5 meters from the front property line, street property line, instead of the minimum required 6 meters. This is to facilitate the conversion of the attached garage into living space. It's for a new additional dwelling unit attached in the existing single detached dwelling. Staff have reviewed the variance in light of the four tests of the Planning Act, finds that it meets all four, and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the agent or applicant please state her name for the record and if she's in support of the staff recommendation?
Stephanie Kressler, and yes, I'm in support.
Thank you. At this point, if there's any members of the public who wish to provide comment, I invite them to come forward. If not, I ask my fellow members to ask comments or questions of staff for the applicant. Member Hanna.
Just a quick question for the, to the applicant. The front door to the unit is rather odd from my perspective. It leads right into a bedroom. Is there any thought about just providing the window instead of just the door?
Which door? The one to the right was a garage, like it's the garage, so it was a garage door, and then my husband he's in windows and doors, so he just changed so that it's not so ugly. Which one? Because the left is the entrance to the door. That one's still a garage. Like the right one you're talking about?
So maybe on figure 4, I can see that there's a window, or sorry, a door parked in front of a blue Corolla. I think that's the one he's talking about.
Yeah, that's the garage.
When was that door put in?
Like, we've had that house 20-something years, so years and years ago.
So it wasn't put in by yourself?
The
door?
The door was, yes.
Yeah, so it obviously wasn't being used as a garage, it was just being used for storage or something?
Oh, well, my son, he's a hockey player, so we turned it into a workout space.
Okay, I just find it unusual to have a doorway directly into a bedroom, that's why I just...
A bedroom?
It's showing as a bedroom.
Nope. Like what years, do you want me to, can I come over and see what you're looking at?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Clerk. On figure 2, we're
The
looking at...
bedrooms are both upstairs. All of the bedrooms are upstairs.
The new unit has a bedroom directly off that door.
Oh, yes, it will be.
I just find that unusual.
So the unusual part, and so this is for my parents, this additional dwelling unit, because the other side's ours, and my parents are 75 and need one level. So initially, I wanted the bedroom back because we have a pool. So I thought the view would be nicer from the bedroom, and my parents are like, no, that's weird. So they want the living room to view the pool, not their bedroom.
Okay.
They don't want us all swimming, and they're like, why are you staring at us? That's why. But, I mean, you don't have a lot of space to work with, right? So.
No, thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any other questions? If not, a motion? Member Hanna?
I'll put the motion on the floor to approve, just to get the, if any debate happens, so there you go.
Thank you, and then can I get a second, so we can start debate? And then Member McCall, second, thank you. So debate started, Member McCall, looks like you're raring to go. I appreciate your comments.
I just was thinking for a little bit, I'm trying to remember in my brief time on this planet whether I've ever heard of a bedroom with an exterior door. I've never had one, and I've owned an apartment building. No, I don't think I can recall that. So this is a unique one. Thank you, Mr. Hanna, for bringing this forward. Other than that, a question maybe for staff. We've come into a couple of instances in the past where the front of the building will have more than one door, and I see this is more than one door. Has there been any resolution from planning staff on 2 front doors?
Through you, Chair, that's a good question. So in our new zoning bylaw, we don't permit 2 doors on a semi-detached dwelling or semi-detached duplex, but we do permit 2 doors currently on a single with duplex.
If you'd prefer that we take the door out and put a glass, it's irrelevant to what we're trying to do. Like, if you want glass all the whole way across, then just, no problem.
I had asked the question because I knew the answer that my fellow colleague, Mr. McCall, had asked, and that is, there's a little bit of an inconsistency in the zoning bylaw. If you were semi-detached, you wouldn't allow the front door. What the city's trying to do is, if you duplex a dwelling, you're trying to make it continue to look like a single detached. That's why I asked the question, how long's the door been there? I don't care one way or the
Yeah,
other anymore. Just letting you know.
I'm like, if it passes it, just, we'll make it all glass.
Mr. Chair, just to clarify, I am not opposed to the concept of having two front doors to a duplex. I understand the streetscape aspect of it, but I think the site plan that you've given us, the proposed plan, I think that's fine. The main access viewing will be out the back from the kitchen living room over the pool. I think that's fine. I think it's well thought out, and I have no problems with a second door.
Thanks, Member McCall. So, like I say, we're not the Interior Design Committee, so all in favor of the motion on the floor, and it passed unanimously, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I please have the applicant for A 2023-108 come forward? That's 540 Frederick Street. And can staff please introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is an application for minor variance requesting permission under Section 45-2A2 of the Planning Act for 540 Frederick Street. They're asking that we permit a legal non-conforming single detached dwelling in a mixed-use 3 zone to be used as a single detached dwelling with a personal services home occupation. Staff have reviewed this variance in light of those 2 tests for legal non-conforming uses, finds that it meets both of those tests, and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the agent or applicant state his name for the record and if he's support of the staff recommendation?
Okay, my name is Chan Bao Shen. I'm the applicant of this application, and I'm very happy with the staff reporting. I support the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who wish to provide comment? And I don't think there are, so then I open the floor for any questions of the applicant or staff. And the applicant, did you wish to make any comments to this committee? Did you wish to provide any comments for our consideration?
I'm all good.
Yeah.
Everything is excellent. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
So then I look forward to a motion on the floor. Yeah, Member McCall?
Just a quick question before I get into a motion. I'm in support of this. In previous applications, I don't recall hearing the terminology personal services home occupation. In previous applications, it has been a little more explicit as to what the business use is going to be. So maybe through staff to ask the applicant for some clarification on what personal services home occupation means. It's not a big issue, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, there are a number of home occupations under personal services, hair care, massage, I'm not quite sure, but it's a general term that permits a number of personal services occupations. Maybe the applicant could clarify which of those he was intending on performing in the dwelling.
It's not that it's going to be a part of the approval of this application, but I'm just kind of curious. So through you, Mr. Chair, to the applicant, what kind of home occupation are you planning to use there?
Okay, so my cousin, she has been doing the massage, those the Chinese and also the professional massage for over 15 years. She always working for somebody, so then she start to run her own business.
I think that's great. So I move that this be approved. Or Scott, did you already move it?
No, there's no motion.
I'll move that this be approved.
Thank you, Member McCall. Can I get a second? Member Hannah, second. So I don't think there's any debate. The same question. So, Member Hannah, sorry about that.
Just want to help my colleague just with a couple of clarifications, and maybe staff can help. A personal service establishment is a permitted use on this site. The only reason it's here is because this gentleman wants to retain a residential unit on the main level. That's correct. So I have no issue with any personal service shop on this. I don't need to know what it is.
So all in favor of the motion on the floor? It passes unanimously, so thank you. The application is approved.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Can I please have the agent or applicant for A 2023-109 come forward? That's 27 Roy Street. And can I have staff introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 27 Roy Street. It's a minor variance to permit a minimum parking requirement of 0 instead of the 4 required parking spaces. This application, this property recently went through an official plan and zoning bylaw amendment to facilitate the use, received conditional approval of the site plan. However, they have not been able to acquire an easement right of way to the back to access the parking. So in the interim, they would like to request a minor variance to recognize 0 parking spaces on the subject property. Staff have reviewed the variance in light of the 4 tests. The Planning Act finds that it meets all 4 and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the agent or applicant state her name for the record and if she's in support of the staff recommendation?
Good morning. My name is Charlotte Ballack. I work for GSP Group as a planner, and I am acting as the agent on behalf of the property owner for the application. And I am in support of staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you. If there's any members of the public who wish to provide comments, I invite them forward now. I don't think there is. So if the agent wishes to provide further comment for the committee's consideration, we're happy to listen.
I just wanted to add maybe one more piece of context. So in the cover letter, and staff did mention too, that we are in the process of establishing that right-of-way over the shared driveway, but that's going through a legal process to establish that right now. And so the request for 0 parking, we're hoping for approval without any conditions and with the intention of adding parking if the driveway, shared driveway is established, but the two not be tied, just in case that driveway doesn't pan out.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And then Member McCall? Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is one of the applications I have some concerns about. So if I understand it correctly, if the right-of-way or easement is not obtained, this will be a building that has 0 parking.
Yes, that is correct. And I believe it's my opinion, and I believe it's staff's opinion too, that 0 parking does meet the 4 tests of a minor variance on its own merits without the driveway.
Follow-up question, Mr. Chair. It would have been much easier if the right-of-way had already been established. What's the delay in establishing the right-of-way?
This is a shared driveway it's been shared for decades. Originally, before going through this process, the intention was to go through a consent application and establish it through that process. When we went to go do that, the neighbor, who had been cooperative through the entire process, didn't want to provide signature on the application form. And so there was then discussion with their solicitor and our property owner's solicitor. So it needs to go through the legal process at this point to establish the shared driveway.
Mr. Chair, I am not comfortable with a ruling that there is a potential for a right-of-way or an easement. Potentials are not a guaranteed thing, and if this was 0 parking without driveway easement, I would not support it. So I think this is a little premature. That's just my comment.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to move the staff recommendation as is, just to start the debate. I do not share my colleagues' concerns.
You can still vote against your seconding, just yeah.
To keep the wheels of this process going, I will second the motion so it can open discussion on this. And now that we're there, I'm going to say I'm not comfortable with approving something that may or may not occur in the future. You know, you look at the law of probabilities, and I have studied those quite a bit over my life. A probability is not a guarantee, and I know Roy Street very well. I used to live in the downtown. I know there is parking at the church 2 doors down, but that's another thing that would have to be organized. So again, I think this is premature.
Yeah, Member Hanna?
Yeah, when I first looked at this application, I said, I hope the applicant is successful through the courts, and good luck, and I think you're going to be. Clearly, there's possessory title here. And I just said there's probably a neighboring property owner that's being a pain in the butt, and that's it. But it's a good application, it's close enough to the core, it's got lots of public transit, and I believe wholeheartedly that the applicant will be successful, and actually our decision will help that. So I'm going to be fully supportive.
Yeah, staff, yeah, please put in.
Yes, I'd like to provide some context. The property is located in a major transit station area. The direction moving forward, hopefully in December, staff will be bringing new zoning to these lands. They're currently in 85-1, which is an outdated bylaw and does not reflect current and future direction in our MTSAs. So the direction is 0 parking for residential units. Commercial, I'm not entirely 100% positive where we're going with that, but just to clarify, it is an MTSA and it will be getting new zoning, hopefully in December.
Thank you, staff. We've approved no parking before, similarly within downtown. I'm comfortable. And I think
I know we have, but this is a mixed use. It's going to be 3 residential and 1 commercial.
Mm-hmm.
The commercial aspect adds to my concern on this. I know we're trying to get 0 parking, but cars have not gone away, and I think we're going to have individual transportation for many decades to come. And parking is becoming a problem downtown. I know there's light rail transit and other means of getting around, bicycles and stuff, but I am still uncomfortable with the residential and commercial with no parking on Roy Street.
Given when staff noted that transportation services recommended, so I'll trust in the experts. I drive as well, but I appreciate there's meters on the street and impacts are quite minor. I live just down the street from there about a year ago, and the meters are always empty. Parking is not really an issue on Roy Street, so I think we're going to be talking in circles further. So if I think we know where we lie. We go for a vote. Thank you, Member McCall. Appreciate your understanding. So all in favor of the motion on the floor. So it's Member Hanna and Member Payman, and then all opposed. Member McCall's opposed. So Madam Clerk, you got to give me a little thumbs up. Thank you. The application is approved. Sorry for that.
Thank you.
Can I please have the applicant for A 2023-110 please come forward? That's 148 Chandis Drive, and if staff correct my wording, please.
Thank you, Chair. I believe it's Chandros Drive. Yes, that's okay. If there's another street name test further on the agenda. This minor variance is to permit a rear yard setback of 2 meters instead of the minimum required 7.5 meters. Is to facilitate the construction of an addition to an existing single detached dwelling. This is a corner property where the yards don't necessarily reflect the orientation of the building. Staff have reviewed the variance in light of the 4 tests. The Planning Act finds that it meets all 4 and is recommending approval.
Thank you so much, staff. Can the applicant or agent please state his name for the record and if he supports the staff recommendation?
Will Yohanna, and I support the staff recommendation.
Thank you. If there's any members of the public who wish to provide comment, I invite them to come forward. If not, the applicant or agent is welcome to make comments for our submission if you so choose, for our consideration, sorry. You're good?
Yeah, good.
Thanks. So then I open the floor to my committee members to ask questions. Yeah, Member Hanna.
Just a quick clarification for the applicant. There wasn't any internal drawing, so the addition, is it simply for a detached dwelling, or are you looking to duplex at some point?
No detached dwelling. It's just connected to the property itself for extra bedrooms for our children, yeah.
I'm just trying to protect you because the resolution says single detached dwelling, and then if you went to go to duplex, you might not be able to do it, so, okay?
No duplex.
Just for the sake of getting things moving, I'm going to move the staff recommendation, get it on the floor.
I second that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, guys. Any debate? I like it. Okay, so all in favor of the motion? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I please have the agent or applicant for A 2023-111 please come forward? That's 15 Catalina Court. And can staff please introduce?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 15 Catalina Court. There are two minor variances before you this morning. One to permit a lot width of 11.9 meters instead of the minimum required 13.1 meters, and a second variance to permit 3 parking spaces to be located within 6 meters of the street line instead of only permitting 1 required parking space to be located within 6 meters. So these variances are to facilitate an additional dwelling unit attached within the existing half of the semi-detached dwelling, as well as to facilitate the construction of an ADU or a detached additional dwelling unit in the rear yard. Staff reviewed the variances in light of the 4 tests. There was some confusion with drawings provided from the zoning occupancy application stage to the minor variance stage to the building permit stage. Staff do note that the the drawings submitted with the minor variance application may exceed the maximum permitted building floor area for a detached ADU. Staff are confident that an ADU of a certain size can be accommodated in the rear yard as it relates to 2 variances being requested, although the drawings that were submitted with the variance application do not indicate this. Staff would be comfortable approving the variances for the lot width and the parking, subject to the variances only being applicable to a detached ADU with a building floor area of 52.5 square meters. So that's for your consideration if you so wish to proceed with the variances, even though the drawings submitted with the variance application were not entirely accurate.
Okay, we'll circle back. It seems like Member McCall and I will circle back to that. Can the agent or applicant please state his name for the record and if he's in support of the new staff recommendation?
Karthik Bandhu. Yeah, I'm in support. I would like to add some context to this.
We'll ask the public for comments, and then you'll go after that. And I'd like to assure the public that this committee has received numerous letters that we've reviewed and will take into consideration. So if there's any members of the public here that wish to provide comment, I ask them to come forward. And yes, sir, just step right to my left here. You're more than welcome. Yeah, if you wish to provide comment, just the first chair right in front of you. And then make sure you push the speak button, and then we'll be able to hear you. And then please state your name for the record for Madam Clerk. Yep, nope, there you go. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Rob Neufeld.
Thanks, Rob. Oh, so if you wish to provide comment, you're free to do so, and the committee will consider them. Oh, you turned off. There you go.
Well, for starters, I have some letters here of opposing this from the neighborhood. Can I hand this in? These are from all the houses on the Crescent and on the court, and also 2 houses that would be backing on to the property.
we're more welcome to provide further oral submissions. We appreciate you have a petition for people who are opposed to the minor variance application. If you wanted to provide further comment, you can, and then my fellow members and I can ask questions of you afterwards.
Okay, that sounds good. Actually, I have a couple questions too, to get this started, if I may. I'm curious to how many people are allowed to live in a semi-detached dwelling? 3-bedroom, I don't know how many bathrooms, 3-bedroom.
I direct that to staff, if staff is able to answer that. If not, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Through your chair, we do not regulate the number of persons living in a dwelling.
And likewise, that's on the building code. Like, that's not at the committee of adjustment stage, unfortunately. Just like you have a house, you can have not that you should, and it'll be against the Ontario Building Code. You can have 100 people living in your house, let's say, in a normal suburban house. You could do that at your house tonight if it was your prerogative, for example.
So would like the fire department and that have entered that home then and made sure that everything's up to code safety-wise for how many people would be living there? Like smoke detectors, exits, people live, if they're living in the basement, exits and stuff like that, would that not have to be, pardon? Would that not have to be brought to the attention of somebody before that can happen?
If that's a concern of yours, I'd recommend you retain a solicitor to get a legal opinion to that effect. Like I said, this is the Committee of Adjustment, and unfortunately, we can't provide legal advice of your rights or property rights. That's just not our place.
So you don't have any knowledge of what's going on in that?
I'm a land use litigation lawyer. I have extensive knowledge in this area.
No, I didn't say that.
I can't provide you legal advice.
No, I'm just saying that, so the city here has no, what was I going to say now? No knowledge of what is actually going on in that unit right now?
Staff, it seems like, yeah.
Yeah, so it is a semi-detached dwelling unit as per the original building permit issued for the dwelling. Staff are under the assumption it's been operating as such. If there were to be changes to require or to request an additional dwelling unit, a building permit would be required to be issued, and that building permit would meet Ontario Building Code as well as Ontario Fire Code. Same for the detached dwelling. So there would be permits that would be required to be obtained by the applicant to ensure that the renovations to the dwelling met building and fire code.
Thank you, staff. If you have further comments for consideration.
So that would have been done for how the living is going on there right now then? That would have all been done?
Yeah, Member Hen.
Can I assist here, just for staff? It is recognized in the report as a duplex, a semi-detached with an additional dwelling unit. Was a permit issued for the additional dwelling unit?
That's before the committee this morning. So it's a semi-detached dwelling, half. They would like to duplex that as well as add an additional dwelling unit detached.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Member McCall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the applicant, just to clarify, because it is a bit of a confusing situation, there are things like building code and fire code and construction are not part of this committee's oversight. We're just dealing with zoning and setbacks and severances. So if you have concerns about what's going on, I underscore my colleague and our chair that you talk to bylaw, or you talk to the excuse me, or that you talk to the fire department, but that's outside of our scope of what we do here. So hopefully that clarifies it. You have other avenues you can continue on. This is not one of them.
Okay, so where would I find that information then, sorry?
If you have concerns about what's going on in your neighbor's property or your neighbor's property, I would suggest calling bylaw enforcement.
Okay, so then this committee here right now has no knowledge of complaints that have been brought upon this unit over the years, or issues that have been with this unit over the years, or police presence that has been here over the years with the people that are living there, the number of people that are living there now before we actually start adding on extra units and more people. This is a residential court. Not, like, there's just houses on there. Not additional, I don't know what you call them, apartments in the yards.
While I appreciate your comments, this is not the neighbor dispute committee. I'd like to send, this is the committee of adjustment. You may have neighbor disputes and you may have issues with, and I appreciate communities changing is a stressful situation, but unfortunately, by and large, across the city, ADUs are typically permitted and meet the intent and purpose of the official plan. And this applicant has come along and he's met with staff, and staff has made a recommendation, and then this committee will debate the staff recommendation. Member Hanna?
Question for the delegate, just to make sure I'm clear. You live next door at 35?
I do, yeah.
Okay. And just to be clear as well, we have submissions from your neighbors that indicate that there clearly have been bylaw complaints filed, et cetera, lots of activity on this property, which I will be following up with the applicants.
Many, yes.
All right, don't worry yourself about that.
Well, okay, but I have to worry a little bit because, yeah, I do live next door and I have a value on my house. And if it's going to turn into a complete garbage dump beside me as it is right now, it's only going to get worse, then I am concerned because, and so is everybody on the court, because we don't want the value of our house to go down just so somebody can make a few extra bucks renting out some more units, where really there should be no more units. This isn't the university area.
No,
this is a residential court.
Sir, it would be helpful to the committee if you would tell us why you don't like the application. We understand you're talking about operational issues, number of residents, we get that. But we want to hear other things that you might have concerns about the application that will help us make our decision.
So, okay, so the tenants that have been living in there now and in the past have, pardon? I've got a list here of things that have happened. Garbage laying all over the yard, mattress, like when people move in and out, mattresses just laying in the driveway, laying in the yard, no lawn care whatsoever. The only time the grass gets cut is if someone complains. And when they do cut the grass, if there's garbage in the lawn, they'll cut around it, stuff like that. Respect for other people's property. Like there is none right now. The other day, they took the deck down on the house, I guess to make the exit. So the people decided they had nowhere to sit on their deck. So Friday night, I'm hearing noises in the backyard. I look outside, they're sitting on my picnic table in my yard, eating, drinking, smoking, dog barking, crapping all over the yard. Nobody picks it up. And this is only with the people that are there now. So with more people, it's only going to get worse. There's complaint about how they treat their animals. They have pets. They don't look after them. They treat them terribly, violently. I had one neighbor say every time his daughter walks by the street, she gets whistled at, and whatever else they say. There was another couple there, lady there, her son came down to go to school. He lived in Brampton. The tenants that were there before were white. Her son was her grandson was colored. They harassed that guy till there was no tomorrow. He couldn't go outside on his own. She wouldn't let him walk down the street on his own. These are the kind of people that live there. What else do I got? Oh, man. Oh. The parking is ridiculous already on that court. Everybody parks illegally on that court. And this guy wants to bring more cars in there. And as for the driveway that he wants to add, that would basically be in my front yard. So if I'm sitting in my front yard, I'm looking at a driveway beside me. Like these things that the to everybody on the court, they make absolutely no sense, that with all the complaints that have gone on this unit over the years, that it would even be thought of to add more units to this place and bring more people in, where obviously it's not being taken care of and the owner doesn't care. And we're all worried about it, big time.
So, thank you. Your comments are received, and like I said, my committee, my fellow members will be asking questions of the applicant at this point regarding many of your comments, and we do appreciate the stress in a changing neighborhood. So then I open the floor to my committee members to ask questions of staff, the applicant, or the delegate. Yep, Member Hanna.
Could the applicant respond to some of the things we've heard about property standards issues and complaints? Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Just to add a little bit more context. So when we bought this building, the previous owner was about to lose his house because the tenants weren't paying rent for almost a year. And that's when we acquired this house. And we had to clean up almost like 4 big 20-yard bins of garbage. Like apparently the previous guys were storing all the garbage in their basement. They had like 3 dogs, 2 kids. It was a mess. So when we acquired this property, we cleaned up pretty much everything. We didn't do any renovations. Like there was a fire marshal who came in, did the inspection. We didn't have any issues. We have smoke detectors in every bedroom as per the building standards. There were a couple of complaints last year for grass not being cut, which was addressed, and this year we contracted that out to a different company. So they've been doing their grass cuts every 2 weeks once. And what was the other issue? And the mattress issue. That, there was a bylaw complaint, bylaw officer came in and he told us this shouldn't be there, and we cleaned up immediately after that, and there was no issue about that. And I strongly believe, like, whatever number of occupants that we have in the building is as per the building code, and I don't think we are crossing any of the issues from the building code side of things. And I welcome any building officials to come in, and if there is any property standards issue, like, I always welcome to come and cross-verify them. I don't have the number of occupants with me right now, but I can check with my property manager and come back in regards to that.
Just a follow-up. This was one of the sites that I actually went to see because I wanted to just visualize what your ADU in the backyard would look like. The property itself has a significant grade issue to it. I didn't see any preliminary grading plan with what you're putting together. How are you going to site this new unit in the backyard? What are you going to do to the grades?
Yeah, so I had my designer walk into the property, and so one of the comments that I received from one of my contractors is, like, the neighbor, which is like my neighbor on the other side of the semi-detached property, like, there was a lot of soil erosion that has happened over the last few years since the construction of the building. So that's what we're trying to discuss, to get in some sort of grading plan done before even starting the construction. And we will show that grading plan as part of the building permits.
I understand about that, but when I looked at the site and I looked at your drawings, I felt they were larger than what the bylaw allows, and staff has actually confirmed that and now saying you have to modify the design, because I think you either have to plop it on top or you're going to build it into the side of the hill, and it's going to look like a 2-story structure. 2-story structures aren't allowed.
Right.
Okay? I'm just letting you know I have significant concerns with your project, okay? I have one more question of staff. This property is not large enough for 3 units, but I believe it is large enough for 2, for the semi to be converted to a duplex. Could you confirm?
You'd like me to confirm whether the semi meets zoning for just the duplexing of the semi without the variance.
Correct. I'm asking the question because I believe the lot is too small for 3 units, but I believe, based on my experience with the committee, that it would be large enough for 2.
We're not in debate, but whatever. Member Hannah, like when I look at figure B on the application, it seems like they have like a pad, for lack of a better word, like there is a flat-ish area for the ADU. I would, opposed to figure C on the parking pad at the front of the property. I can see that has a grading issue, but just looking from figure B, I don't see the grading issue for the accessory dwelling unit.
I'm asking that question because if you look at the preliminary site plan, the unit is 2 feet away from the property line. I think part of your parking pad that you're looking at is actually going to be removed to accommodate what appears to be almost equal in size to the semi that's there. While I'm waiting for the staff, another question for the applicant quickly. Right now, this guy is going to recommend against your application. Staff are asking that you redesign your unit. Would you prefer a deferral to allow you to provide me, for instance, with a grading plan and a new size of your unit so we could look at it?
Yes, but having said that, I don't mind going back and reading my drawings. The one thing I want to ask is, like, can we consider, because this is a minor variance application, right? So as per the zoning bylaw, like, it shouldn't be more than 52 square meters based on what staff has told me in regards to the size of the ADU itself. So as long as I bring back the drawings less than 52 square meters, would you guys be open to giving me a conditional approval based on that?
This guy, no. Your other problem, sir, is you have a lot that's not wide enough to accommodate 3 units. You're not going to change the size of the lot. That's why I asked the question whether 2 units would be allowed, because I want the neighbors to understand, even if we deny this application today, which I'm leaning towards, you still have the ability to duplex.
So I'm just looking at the regulations for duplexing the existing semi. The existing semi should meet zoning regulations. The lot width for a corner semi-detached dwelling is 12 meters, and this is 11.9, so it's just shy. So it would still require the variance for lot width.
At this point, we need some sort of motion here. Yep, Member
I'm
Hannah.
going to move the recommendation just to get it on the floor, but I won't be supporting.
Okay, so Member Hannah approves as amended by staff, and then can I get a second?
Before I second this, I'm scratching my head on this one. It is quite confusing. The minor variances asked for seem minor. The parking is a bit of an issue. So, again, another one that I think is premature. I would like to actually modify make a friendly amendment to my colleague's motion that this not be approved, that this be deferred until the proper amount of information is available. Mr. Hannah, would you consider that a friendly amendment?
I'm open to that because the applicant has indicated a deferral. I think that would help us to look at a modified design, a smaller ADU, et cetera. But you know I'm all about functionality, and I believe this property has clearly not been functioning properly, even as a single or a semi-detached. And I don't think it's going to function well for 3 units. Maybe 2, but not 3.
Okay, then, in response to that, Mr. Hanna, I'm going to say, I think we're going down the same avenue here. I would like to say to those who are opposed to it, if this is deferred and you come back again, maybe a list, a concrete list, a certified list of bylaw infractions and fire code infractions. I don't know whether those exist, but that's what my suggestion would be. So, as to the functionality, isn't that a little bit outside of our purview on this? But having said that, I think that some of this can be cleaned up over the next month or two. So that's why I'm suggesting, Mr. Chair, I'm very much suggesting that this be deferred as opposed to refused or approved. It's another, I hate the idea of deferral because it's kicking the can down the road, and I don't like that idea. But I think that something could be worked out here. At least something should be tried, because I don't like this the way it is either.
So how do we, staff, the motion on the floor is to approve as amended by staff. I'm supporting the deferral recommendation.
There's no motion on the floor because it wasn't seconded.
Okay. Can we simply put a motion on the floor to defer?
Mr. Chair, I would second that, just in order to keep this thing going. So we have a motion on the floor to defer, made and seconded. So I think it's time to call a vote.
Yeah, so I can clarify. I've done a little bit of research into the property. There are a number of property standards issues, violations on the property, none related to use. So there was never a property standards bylaw investigation into use of the property. With respect to a deferral, the reasons for the deferral should be clear as to what staff is working with the applicant towards, noting that the variances is for a lot width and parking within 6 meters, all require parking within 6 meters. So those are the two variances, and just looking for some direction as to why the purpose of the deferral.
Well, we're in the debate now, so Member Hanna?
Yeah, so I will put forward why I would like to defer. Number one is I would like to see a modified site plan that shows the modified ADU in the backyard with a preliminary grading plan and also building drawings of the semi so we can see how that duplex or how that 2 units also going to take place.
I am in complete support, Scott, on what you're suggesting, and also the building drawings would indicate to us the scale and massing and compatibility with the existing neighborhood. As the neighbors had pointed out, this is not adjacent to the university or the college. This is a dead-end cul-de-sac road that is primarily single-family residential, and I think we need more information. So your list of reasons why we would defer, I support 100%.
Staff clear on that?
Yes, clear. Just a date for when this would come back to committee is required.
Yeah, Mr. Applicant, would you prefer 1 month to get more documents or 2 months?
You're going to need 2.
I mean, so I'll add a little bit more context to it, the reason why I'm doing this. So there was a little bit of confusion with my building permit drawings. Initially, we did submit the right building drawings, but then what happened was my designer came onto the site, saw the grading issue, and that's when we actually showed the grading. Like, we actually lifted the house by another 2.5 feet from the existing grading. So that was taken into consideration when the staff was reviewing the application like a couple of days ago. So we already have the previous drawings, which were like the original drawings, already drawn up. So I think we have whatever is necessary for us at this point. My question for you guys is, if I defer for 2 months, if I can bring those drawings back, can I come back in the next month's meeting, or it has to be like 2 months?
It'll be whatever we vote. If we vote to bring it back in the October meeting, you'll have to come back for October. We say November, and so on.
I think we've done in the past saying we defer for a maximum of 2 months, and so you can bring it back 1 month if you so desire.
Okay, so I'll defer for 2 months, and if everything is ready, I'll come back in October meeting.
Okay, so can we get an amended motion to defer for 2 months?
Did I make the motion? In the first?
Yeah, you did,
Okay.
remember.
Then in that case, Mr. Chair, I would like to suggest an amendment that this be
Maximum.
deferred for 2 months, but could be brought or back next month if documents are available. So that's my amended motion.
Can I get a second?
I will second.
And then, Madam Clerk, did you? Yep. So all in favor of the motion? Passed unanimously, thank you. Sir, you're welcome to, when the application comes back up, it's been deferred, there's no time for further comment. I apologize, sir. You're more than welcome to come to the next meeting and make further submissions, and written prior as well. I point that to staff. I think it's statutory notice.
I will leave that to clerks, but the motion is that it be deferred to 2 months. If it comes back sooner, I'm not sure there is notice provided or how that works.
The agenda is posted on the Friday prior to the meeting, so I suggest, let me look at my calendar, that you check on October 20th on the City of Kitchener's website for the agenda, and if it's there, you'll see it. On October 20th at about 4 o'clock, it'll be up on the website. October 24th. So thank you. At this point, can I please have the applicant for, let me get the right address, A 2023-112, that's 103 Peter Street, please come forward, and can I have staff introduce this application?
Yes, this is a minor variance application for 103 Peter Street. It is a minor variance to permit a lot width of 12.7 meters instead of the minimum required 13.1. This is to facilitate the conversion of the existing single detached with additional dwelling unit or duplex to a single detached with 2 additional dwelling units or triplex. The committee may remember this property came to you in November 2022 for a side yard variance to permit the 3rd story. So now they are coming back for the lot width variance to permit 3 units on the property. Staff have reviewed the variance in light of the 4 tests. The Planning Act finds that it meets all 4 and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the applicant state his name for the record and whether he's in support of the staff recommendation?
Sorry?
Can you state your name for the record and whether you are in support of the staff recommendation?
I support this application for sure.
Yeah, and then can you state your name for can you state your name?
My name is Abdul Main Kadur.
Thank you.
I'm the applicant for this case.
Yeah, thank you. Can I have any members of the public who wish to provide comment to come forward? I don't believe there are. So if you wish to provide comments, your own comments for the committee, you're free to do so now. If you wanted to provide any comments to the committee.
Actually, this case just to legalize the basement. I will not add any addition, anything. It is already finished basement, and we'd like to make it like a 3rd unit. And the lot, actually, it's very deep. It's 176 feet deep, and it's open from 3 sides, from the back and from the right side and front side. From the back and right side for the green area and garage, school garage, and front side for the street. And I believe also we have extra parking area in the back of the building. So I believe this is can be done easy. I don't know.
Thank you, Member Hanna.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was going to be my only question. Your site plan shows green landscaping in the backyard, but my site inspection looked at a gravel parking area pretty much So you're pretty much going to park in the backyard. You're not going to line them up along the side of the dwelling. right?
Parking area in the back because we can make it, because it's very deep, so.
No, you are planning on parking in the back?
I will add it, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, by the code, it's enough for the side, but actually for me, it's not enough. I would like to add it in the back also, so give more freedom for the movement, you know?
No, thank you. If there's any further questions of my committee members, if not, we can get a motion. Sounds like Member Hanna wants to debate. Yep.
Yeah, I will move approval of the staff recommendation. I remember this one from previous where we actually allowed a duplex. Triplex works. They're going to park in the backyard. It's going to be fully functional.
And then Member McCall, yep, thank you. So debate. I mean, I'm concerned about the backyard parking, but what are you going to do? So all in favor of the application? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I please have the applicant for A 2023-113? Oh, are you okay, sir? That's 9 Siebert Avenue. And can I please have staff introduce?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This was your second test on street naming.
How did I do?
I was the same, calling it Siebert, but I was advised by staff that it's Seibert. So I've been corrected myself. Anyway, minor variance application for 9 Seibert. This is to facilitate an additional dwelling unit detached. A couple of minor variances, one to locate it partially in the exterior side yard, second to permit 2 parking spaces to be located within 6 meters, whereas the bylaw only permits 1. Staff circulated the application to GRCA, Grand River Conservation Authority. They did have some issues with the location of the detached or potential issues. They've requested a topographic survey to confirm that the dwelling will not be located within the floodplain or does have safe access. So they are suggesting that the application be deferred, and staff is in agreement with that. Staff had noted that the application would come back in December to give the applicant some time to prepare that survey, but again, it could come back sooner if that survey was completed sooner. So that is the recommendation before you is deferral of the application.
Thank you so much, staff. Can the agent state his name for the record, or applicant, I apologize, and state whether or not you support the staff recommendation to defer? Oh, we need to see the little red light. Push the speak button on the, there you go, you're good now. Oh, there.
Hello? Okay, my name is Robert Westbury, and I guess I would hope that maybe instead of deferring it, we could do a conditional approval based on GRCA so that I would know that at least it's approved in terms of zoning and everything else.
Okay, so thank you. So we'll take that into consideration. Are there any members of the public who wish to provide comment? Yeah, ma'am in the pink, please come forward to sit in the chair the last gentleman and woman sat in. And then push, when you're ready, please push the speak button and then state your name for the record. You'll see the little speak button on the computer there. It's already on, actually. Yeah, good call, Member McCall. Yeah, we can hear you.
What do you want to know? My name? It's Maria Maltez, and I'm the neighbor where it would be backing onto. I just have some concerns with if the grading is going to be affecting my property, because I've already had grading issues with water from this property. And I also need to know how tall this building is going to be, because it's basically butt up to the sidewalk for my side entrance for my tenant, as if it's going to be an eyesore, or how big is this building going to impede, and will it affect the value of my home, having this thing just sticking out in the backyard?
Thank you, ma'am. And just, I'm looking on Google Maps here. Which one are you? Are you the 15?
I'm 146.
You're the 146 Clark?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Did my fellow committee members had any comments or questions of the delegate? No? So then, thank you. Your comments are heard. If the applicant wish to provide any further submissions in light of the delegates' comments, the committee is happy to proceed with them.
I also have another question about the driveways that has been installed. When there's two cars parked there, it's hard to see when you're making a left-hand turn from Seibert onto Clark. I'm just wondering are they allowed to park two cars, or are they only allowed to have one? Because it's very, I think it's unsafe if you have two. You can't see very well. It's already on a bend.
Member Hanna, or director staff?
Yeah, maybe staff can help us with that. I think on a corner lot, two driveways are permitted, but maybe you can clarify.
Through the chair, that's correct. With this being a corner lot, two driveways are permitted. In terms of any potential sightline issues that may exist, I can pass it along to our staff for some field visit and see if anything, if there are any issues with sightlines, and if anything with parking regulations can be amended to assist drivers.
Thank you very much, staff. Now, can the applicant make any submissions regarding the comments made? You're free to, or you don't have to. It's your choice.
I just wanted to say it's about 12 feet tall, so that answers your question. And to do with parking, I did get a curb cut permit, so that was done legally on Clark for the parking.
Member Hanna?
Just a quick question. I was by the site. Just wanted to know if you were going to retain the fence and put the ADU in behind the fence.
The fence is going to be removed because that would be sort of the front yard kind of for the ADU. So the fence that's running along Clark would be removed. And the ADU would be 4.5 meters back from the lot line. And that's what I plan to do, because that, in the zoning bylaw, 4.5 meters is the number for front yard setback and exterior side yard setback as well. So it'll be 4.5 meters back, which I believe it is actually farther back than the fence currently is. If I look at the site plan, just give me a second. Yeah, right now, if you're looking at the site plan on the minor variance, you can see the existing shed where that is. That is exactly where the fence is. The shed is right behind the fence and almost touching the fence. So you can see that the ADU would be back a little bit from where the current fence is, but yeah, that fence will be removed. If we deferred the application, are you going to be necessarily upset? I just need to know. Nope. I'm just nervous I'm going to get denied, and I'd just like to know if the zoning stuff is at least approved. If it's just coming down to GRCA, I would just like to know. That's really where I'm at with that.
Okay, I'll give you my friendly advice. I was kind of hoping you'd tell me the fence was going to stay, because then the streetscape isn't going to be any different. What you're doing is you're putting a house that's 4.5 meters back, and I think most others on that street are 7 to 9 meters back, so it's going to be quite visible once you put it up. So this guy, I can't guarantee you my support, but that's why I'm suggesting maybe you want to defer or work with your neighbor on how it's going to look in the grading, and make sure you get your GRCA permit and come back and see us.
Okay. Just to comment about the setbacks that you said there are on the street, a lot of them are around what you said, but there are quite a few examples of properties that are 4.5 or close to it, like 56 Seibert, 102 Harbor, 119 Seibert, 177 Clark. They're all very close, and very close to my house. And there's also, on the other end of Seibert, quite a few new builds that are going up, and they're all 4.5 as well, so it's not that unusual for the neighborhood.
Member McCall?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have much of a problem with the setbacks that you are proposing, the 4.5. Neighborhoods do change. The only reason for this deferral, as I can see, is that the GRCA wants to make sure that the ADU is going to be outside the Montgomery Creek floodplain, and I think that the GRCA is completely within their authority to do that, and I think it's a good thing to make sure that it is outside the floodplain. And that's my only concern. I respect my colleague very, very much. I've known him for a while. He brings forward great ideas. We don't always agree. But I think this needs to be deferred for the only reason that the GRCA wants to see exactly where this proposal will be, because if it's on the floodplain, you're going to have problems.
Okay. I spoke to GRC on the phone, and they said that it's very likely that the floodplain won't be an issue because, according to their floodplain map, it looks like the floodplain is close to the corner of the property, but it's not actually on the property. So if it is just coming out of the floodplain, then it's looking pretty good. And yeah, I totally agree that it needs to, be pending on the GRCA. But can it be possibly approved sort of conditional on the GRCA, or does it just have to be deferred?
I'm not comfortable with a deferral conditional upon approval from some other agency. And they're not here to testify, I'm going to stick with my position that this can be deferred till next month, actually, if you really want. If you can get some documentation from the GRCA that they don't have a problem, then it's green light.
Okay. The ball's rolling on that, so hopefully they'll get that soon.
Thank you. So can I get a motion on the floor from one of my fellow members for a defer? Member McCall?
Yes, Mr. Chair. In accordance with the staff report, I move that this be deferred to December 12th or earlier, if possible, to allow GRCA to review the topographic map. And based upon the evidence and testimony we've heard today, I don't think that should be a big deal. So I move that this be deferred.
Thank you. Can I get a second? Member Hammond, a second.
I will second, and I just have one comment, and before we put it to a vote.
Yep. And then, Madam Clerk, were you able to get the motion? Yep. So, Member Hanna, your comment?
Just as far as the deferral, obviously, it's as per the staff recommendation with modification by my colleague. Can I encourage the applicant as well to come back with a little more details on your unit, maybe an elevation, floor plans, etc., to help me make the right decision, okay?
Absolutely. And where do I submit those so that they'll be just at the front here? Okay.
Thank you. So all in favor of the motion on the floor? Passed unanimously. It's now deferred. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I please have the applicant for A 2023-114, my apologies, that's 75 Weber Street. Can the applicant or agent please come forward and staff introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 78 Weber Street West. Two minor variances, one to permit steps that are 3 meters, that are within 3 meters of the street line to be 7.78 meters in height rather than the maximum permitted 0.6, and to permit a porch that is greater than 0.6 meters in height to be located 0.2 meters from a street line instead of the minimum required 3 meters. So these two minor variances are required to facilitate the conversion of the building into 6 dwelling units. Staff have reviewed the variances in light of the 4 tests the Planning Act, finds that it meets all 4, and Metrolinx has requested 2 conditions.
Thank you, staff. Can the agent or applicant state his name for the record and whether he's in support of the staff recommendation?
Hi, good morning. My name is Adrian Mercer. I am in support.
Thank you, Adrian. Are there any members of the public who wish to provide comments on this? And I don't believe there are. So Adrian, if you wanted to provide comments for the committee's consideration, you're welcome to do so now. It's your prerogative.
Sure. I appreciate the staff's recommendation. Just one note here regarding the Metrolinx clauses. They've got two clauses there. The first one being environmental easement, which I'm content to live with. That's just fine. The second clause is a warning clause, 300 meters away from their operations. And I just would like to submit for the committee's consideration the exclusion of that second clause. Thank you.
Thank you. So I open the floor to my fellow members to ask questions of staff or the applicant. If not, I think we'll good motion. Member Hanna?
Would you be opposed to removing both Metrolinx conditions?
I would not be opposed to that. No.
Okay, well, so then can I please get a motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to move support of the staff recommendation with removal of both Metrolinx conditions. I don't think they're necessary in this case, and this is an excellent application.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'm still pondering this, as I've been pondering the Metrolinx suggestions, requirements, ever since, wow, last couple of years now. And I still don't have a clear vision. I think a lot of this Metrolinx stuff is unnecessary. It won't really have any effect upon me or probably anyone in this room. It'll be future generations, and who knows what happens in future generations. I'm concerned that if both Metrolinx conditions are removed, that they may appeal this decision. They could. I am in agreement with Member Hanna that this is a great application. I think it's just perfect. I'm only concerned is the complications of a quasi-provincial railway company, which I'm going to actually second the motion that both of them be removed on kind of a scientific experiment just to see what Metrolinx is going to do.
Great. So I don't think there's going to be any need for debate on this. So all in favor of the motion on the floor? It passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.
And then, Madam Clerk, you got amended. Yep. Thank you. At this point...
And staff will let us know if it's appealed.
Can I please have the applicant for A 2023-115, that's 275 Lawrence Ave, please come forward, and can staff introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance application for 275 Lawrence Avenue. It's requesting a minor variance to permit an office use of the subject property, whereas the EMP1 zone does not permit office as a permitted use. Staff have reviewed the variance to add the use in light of the four tests of the Planning Act, finds that it meets all four, and is recommending approval.
Thank you, staff. Can the applicant or agent state his name for the record and if he's in support of the staff recommendation?
Certainly can. Ryan Mounsey, in support. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's any members of the public who wish to provide comment, I invite them forward. I don't believe there are, so if the applicant or agent wanted to provide any comments for our consideration, we're happy to receive them.
Very brief comments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks.
Members McCall, Member Hanna. Just a quick note to say that this building was built in 1955 as a rural office. This was probably one of the earlier buildings in the neighborhood. And so as a rural office building, we're looking to legalize the office use. Since that time, the office has been rezoned and planned for light industrial uses. I'd point out specifically the reason why we're here is that the official plan permits freestanding small office. And so with the policy framework in place, it is located within a residential industrial area. I grew up in the neighborhood, and it's a vibrant neighborhood located close to transit. and the property is very functional with 17 parking spaces, which complies with the bylaw and exceeds the current bylaw for office. So with that background, the project and the owner would like to maintain an office use through the minor variance process. It meets the 4 tests, and I would say it's highly desirable for the neighborhood. With that, I close. Happy to answer any questions, and thank you for your time and decision.
Thank you. If my members had any questions of staff for the applicant? No? If not, I look forward to a motion. Member McCall.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I think this is good use, so I'm going to move that this be approved as per the staff report.
Second, Member Hannah. So thank you for your comments, applicant. So all in favor of the motion on the floor? And it passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
You too.
And finally, can I have the applicant for B 2023-035, that's the severance on 100 George Street, please come forward, and can staff introduce this application?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance, it's a consent application for the creation of a new semi-detached building lot, so creating 2 semi-detached dwellings or 4 dwelling units on the subject lands. So application for consent to create that lot. Staff have reviewed the consent application in light of provincial, regional, city policies, finds that it meets all of those. I would note that we did receive regional comments yesterday morning to indicate that condition 11, requiring the archaeological assessment, is no longer required. So staff recommends that condition 11 be deleted.
Thank you. And was Madam Clerk able to note that? Thank you. Can the applicant or agent state their name for the record and whether they're in support of the new staff recommendation?
Yeah, I'm Jillian Smith with MHBC. I'm the agent for Habitat for Humanity, and we approve the staff report.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. If there's any members of the public who wish to provide comment, invite them forward. I don't think there are. So if you wish to provide comments for this committee's consideration, I welcome them, but it's your choice.
I think that staff have addressed the archaeology condition, so with that, I think we rest.
Thank you. So any questions of the applicant or the agents? No? Member McCall.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is fairly straightforward. I move that this be approved as per the staff recommendation with the 10 conditions.
Yep. So can I get a second? Member Hannah seconds, so debate. All in favor of the motion as amended? Thank you very much. So it's approved unanimously. Have a good day. So finally, I look forward to a motion to adjourn. Member Hannah wants to adjourn. Member McCall seconds, and all in favor of adjournment. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.